Since I launched my campaign a few weeks ago, I've heard from people across the country that they too want change.
Mr. Carney, you've said you've spoken to a lot of people recently, but this is one people you didn't speak to. So I'm going to address some of the things that you bring up in this little news conference of yours.
Now, I'm not a politician. I am a pragmatist. And so if I see something that's not working, I will change it. And that's why last week I proposed a new climate policy, eliminating the consumer carbon tax, having large polluters pay Canadians to make climate-smart choices, and helping our countries leapfrog their American competitors in global markets.
You say in there that you're a pragmatist. It's minus 20. Earlier it was, minus 36. If you're a pragmatic guy, you would know that you can't change the temperature. Doesn't matter what you do. You cannot change the temperature. So you've already put a whole bunch of people off for the rest of your speech. Now, you might say, that's too bad. Well, we're going to look at your speech because it's not what you say. And eventually, it's going to be what you do. But let me tell you, I don't think you've got lots of people fooled anymore. Go ahead, run for Liberals. But I don't think you got the Albertans fooled. I don't think you've got a lot of Canadians fooled. But let's just see what you got to say.
We need to distinguish between what we can't change, what we can influence, and what we can and must change to build an even better Canada.
So you say we must look at what we can change and what we cannot change. Again, you can't change that. So either you're a lying politician or you're just a lying economist. But we're not done.
And Canada should now work with like-minded nations to create a trading system that is consistent with our values and that builds our prosperity.
So now you want to work with nations that are consistent with their values. You know, I really would like to know what those values are. I have been born, raised, had businesses here in this country, and I have no clue what you're talking about anymore. Maybe in a speech somewhere you would define and articulate what those values are. I'm just saying.
This proud country will never be part of the United States in any shape or form.
Really, you know, you have to listen to yourself. We will never be a part in any shape or form of the United States. You believe in democracy, I thought. That's what you said somewhere else. Well, what about if we decided to become part of the United States? No, what about if Alberta decides to become a state, or maybe even its own republic? In fact, I'm there, personally. So guys like me and probably a lot of other Albertans were there. You can't fool us anymore. We're done with that. But we'll give you some more time to say your thing.
We can and must change how much of your hard-earned money you get to keep. Canada needs a middle-class tax cut, and my government will give them one.
Okay, now, that's the language I think that a lot of people would like to hear. And thank you for that. But it's not in the talking, it's in the doing. And let me remind you, you are not the Prime Minister yet. So you can go out and spout all kinds of things. But sure, tax cuts would be great.
And all Canadians deserve more competition in our economy so that they can get the best value for their hard-earned dollar.
All Canadians need and like competition. That's true, but you're an economist, and like Trump said the other day, we don't allow other banks into this country. Maybe that's one of the first things you could do as an economist. Say that you're going to bring American banks into Canada so that they can compete and we can maybe have better interest rates. Or maybe, even better yet, get rid of some of the dairy boards and the egg boards, the chicken boards, those kind of things, so that I can raise chickens here on the yard and sell them and maybe sell some milk. You see, you're not making any sense.
The government of Canada has extraordinary powers at its disposal today to respond to a national crisis. And Donald Trump's aggression against Canadian livelihoods and workers constitutes just such a crisis.
We have a crisis in this country? Yeah, things are tough. Things are really tough. But a crisis? That sounds like you're gearing up to do something that we had a couple years ago. We had a crisis then too. You're going to have to explain yourself, just like the values of this country. I have no idea what you're talking about, and thousands don't either. You're going to have to say what this crisis is.
We can change how builders are rewarded in this country.
So, change the way how builders are rewarded? Are you suggesting a social credit system, but not saying it? Sir, as an Albertan first and a Canadian second, I think you need to come out here and listen to what folks have to say on the West Coast. Not the ones that are kissing your butt, but the ones like myself and probably a lot of other businessmen in this area would like to point out to you.
We can and must change so that we have one Canadian economy instead of 13. That means we need to harmonize the tangle of rules and regulations at all levels of governments that have meant that Canada, at least the Canadian economy, is less than the sum of its parts.
See, here's what folks like you don't understand, I think. Or maybe you do, but you just pretend you don't. A province has a lot of constitutional powers. For example, Alberta owns its own oil. You're going to have to address those kind of issues. But it looks like you want to railroad your powers, your federal powers, and here we come. Well, I don't think that's going to work in the West. And again, maybe we should start the idea of getting Alberta out of the country and being our own republic.
We can and must change our major trading partners. Canada and the United States have the most important commercial relationship in the world, and long may it remain so.
Change some of our trading partners? Sure. No big deal. We already got China in our backyards over here, drilling oil and gas in BC of all things. So we already got those, and we could get some more. That's fine.
We should become the essential trading partners of countries that share our values, including the UK, the EU, and leaders in Asia.
Now, you say countries that share our values? China? Maybe they share your values, if that's what you're alluding to, but they don't support most of the values, I would say, in the province of Alberta, Edmonton maybe, but that's Edmonton, but not in Alberta. So maybe we should make a republic or get that going. You're not making yourself clear, and certainly if you're a prime minister, you're not going to be my prime minister if you can't make that clear.
And we can do so through our leadership in clean energy. That includes our railways, ports, roads and bridges, trucking routes and energy corridors.
Energy corridors, sir. Nowhere You talk about pipelines. You don't say anything about pipelines. You've got to make yourself clear, or maybe you are being clear and guys like us are picking that up. Maybe we should make Alberta a republic.
But we have to stop holding back our own progress and instead work together to keep Canada moving forward.
Sir, we have to, of course, not stop the progress of the economy, etc., and work together, of course. Work together. Have you seen, actually, where have you been in the last few years? Work together? We have a Prime Minister currently that refuses to even look at people who are Christian. He disses them all the time. We have a Prime Minister who will not even meet with people who want to work with him and make things clear. I don't think you're on the right path when you're saying we should work together, not defining your values or what Canadian values are, not mentioning pipelines. I don't think you want to work together. So maybe Alberta should become its own republic.
And finally, we can and must change to make Canada and Canadians more secure.
You want to make Canada more secure. Canadians more secure. Should I show you something? Oh, never mind. We're not allowed to have those anymore. We're quite secure around here. That's not where the problem is. But I don't think you understand what the problem is. It's a moral problem. It's an underlying ethical problem, which if you're a pragmatic guy, you'd understand. But listening to your speech so far, you're a politician through and through.
We can do little to change the external forces that are causing it, but we can act.
We can do little to change the external forces that are acting upon us. Yeah. Could you get that through your head? You talk it, but you're not seeing it. You're not even acknowledging it. You think that we are too stupid to understand? No. We got you guys figured out.
There's a fever gripping America. And while it rages, Canadians will remain resolute and true to our values.
A fever raging through America. Oh dear. Fear-mongering. I thought we weren't supposed to do that. What you want us to do is remain resolute. I've been standing out here for, I don't know, as long as this press conference is. Here, that's being resolute. Trying to get a point across to you that you have a bigger problem in not explaining your speech. You don't know what the values are. You don't know what external forces can do. You're an economist. Maybe you should stick with that.
While America engages in a war on woke, Canadians will continue to value inclusiveness.
You're going to be inclusive. So you're going to include a guy like me who's trying to make clear to you that you're not very clear. I think I am, and I think you understand where I'm coming from. So how are you going to make that work? There's no value system anymore in this country. There's no moral basis for anything that you're saying.
While America shuns the vulnerable, we will continue to show solidarity with one another.
America shunning the vulnerable. Let me tell you something, Mr. Carney. I have 5 children that have moved out of this country and have moved down there. I have, 20 grandkids living down there. They are not shunning the vulnerable. Can you find me grandparents up here with 20 kids? 20 grandkids? I have 39 grandkids. The vulnerable, they're heading over there. to the south. You are absolutely misleading the Canadians. And you want to be Prime Minister? You know where liars go? Maybe you should read your Bible.
While America attempts to turn back the clock, Canadians will build sustainability for future generations. Before America's fever passes, we must seize this moment for Canada.
America going to the past. I don't even know where to start with you. And maybe the people in the East that you're talking to swallow up your words like butter in a frying pan. Just weird. No, you need to define a lot of things for people in the West, or Alberta will become its own republic. I'm there. I think most of my children are there, and certainly my grandkids will be there too. So unless you can explain the ethical, the moral, the social contract that you think you have with us from not from a legal standpoint. You can force anything. You could take me out there and shoot me if you wanted to. No, you need to build things from a moral, ethical, and a biblical basis. I'm sorry, but you need to do a lot of homework in order to get a lot of people out here in the West. I think I'm going to go inside now. It's freaking cold out here, and I'm glad you think you can do something about it.